Greetings, brothers and sisters. I want to start over here. Viral gaff: Biden refers to LL Cool J as boy after bungling his name. This is Forbes, and this is YouTube recommending this to me. This is YouTube's front page here, and we'll get into that in just a moment here. This gaff by JoJo Magoo, and so it's been kind of a weird couple weeks for me. Things going on with the Sajmark heartfulness stuff that I've been sort of not able to get to. I guess it was Dodgy's birthday gathering, the first one. That was weird, and I started working on Journey series, and I have a glut of content. Like I have 2 Journey series, one I just made published today, and another one that I've been sitting on my members, on the for members only thing for the past couple weeks. I got another one that I'm uploading today. Then all the weird stuff that's been happening with the big parasite thing. And so, and just in general, like things just seem like weird in the world, like weirder than normal. But I've been, wanting to get all this content up, and I've been putting up so much content, like hours of stuff. And so I put a video up already, one of the Journey series. So this is going to be a shorter video. And then I want to get to just a few things here. And there's one comment, a flat earth thing, kind of funny one that I want to get to. But here's the JoJo Magoo gaff.
Member staff in the room here include those who serve across my administration, like Secretary of Housing and Urban Affairs, great Marcia Fudge.
So this is he's speaking to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, which he talked about being his, I'll show you that clip, because I was actually wanting to show that clip again. And he talks about how, and they were supporting him over black candidates. They were supporting him over Cory Booker. Now, Cory Booker is annoying, but at least he's not senile, right? Cory Booker was a much better candidate than Joe Biden. Like, he was sharper in the debates. Like, he's very superficial. I don't like the way he acts, and the whole T-bone thing, that was weird. But they had an exchange where Kamala and Cory Booker, and I'll show you the whole thing, can't believe that this is the guy that's beating them in the black community. That JoJo Magoo was getting more support in the black community than they were. They couldn't believe it because he was senile. Let's just show that clip first.
I wanted to return back to this issue of black voters. I have a lifetime of experience with black voters. I've been one since I was 18. Nobody on this stage should need a focus group to hear from African-American voters. Black voters are pissed off, and they're worried. They're pissed off because the only time our issues seem to be really paid attention to by politicians is when people are looking for their vote. And they're worried because the Democratic Party, we don't want to see people miss this opportunity and lose because we are nominating someone that isn't trusted, doesn't have authentic connection. And so that's what's on the ballot, and issues do matter. I have a lot of respect for the vice president. He has swore me into my office as a hero. This week I hear him literally say that I don't think we should legalize marijuana. I thought you might have.
So this will show you. This is in 2019. So this is 4 years ago, and he had the Deliverance Boy eyes, right? I mean, he was gone then. Like, he's worse now, but I was talking about that then because he was senile then. He was wandering off stage. And this was definitely one of these JoJo senior moments.
They've been high when you said it, and let me tell you, because marijuana,
kaboom.
Marijuana in our country is already legal.
Okay, so there's lots to not like about Cory Booker and his superficial kind of way, and he's just inauthentic. But he's so much sharper and smarter than Joe Biden, right? He doesn't have the baggage Joe Biden had in terms of the plagiarism and all the other stuff, right? You see the difference between these two guys. This guy's got life force and he's alive and awake. This guy's, should be retiring. And Cory Booker, for the life of him, can't understand how he's losing in the black community to this guy. Like, he can't understand it, and neither can Kamala, because just based in the fact that, you know, the color of their skin, if all things were equal, and they're not, because Joe Biden is much worse. He's not as sharp. Like, you know, Kamala sucks worse because she's Kamala. But Cory Booker is certainly better than Joe Biden. If I had a choice, I said, you know, if it was up to me, like everyone said it's up to you to pick between Cory Booker and Joe Biden, I would say, oh, Cory Booker. Most people would. Like, he's just better. You know, if I had to hire one of these two guys for a job, I would hire Cory Booker every time, because not that I like Cory Booker, but he's much better than Joe Biden, right? And he doesn't have anything where he's glomming on kids and just all the weirdness with Joe Biden.
Privileged people, and the war on drugs has been a war on black and brown people. And so let me just say this: with more African Americans under criminal supervision in America than all the slaves since 1850, do not roll up into communities and not talk directly to issues that are going to relate to the liberation of children, because there are people in Congress right now that admit to smoking marijuana, while there are people, our kids are in jail right now for those drug crimes. And so,
Joe, like, he's raising his hand like he's still he's like in an elementary school flashback here.
These are the kind of issues that mean a lot to our community, and if we don't have somebody authentically, we lost the last election. Let me just give you this data example. We lost in Wisconsin because of a massive diminution, a lot of reasons, but there was a massive diminution in the African American vote. We need to have someone that can inspire, as Kamala said, to inspire African Americans to the polls at record numbers.
Thank you, Senator Booker. Vice President Biden, you can respond to that.
I'll be very brief. Number one, I think we should decriminalize marijuana, period. And I think anyone who has a record should be let out of jail, their records expunged.
Like, the way he phrased that, he said everybody, not just people who have marijuana convictions.
It be completely zeroed out. But I do think it makes sense, based on data, that we should study what the long-term effects are for the use of marijuana. That's all.
You mean they don't know? Are you saying they don't know what marijuana does to you? Like, it's been around since the 1920s, right? It's been around for 100 years. I mean, longer than that, but in America. Marijuana, like, the studies have been done, bro. Like, I think we should study this new drug. Oh, fentanyl? No, marijuana. Like, this newfangled drug called marijuana.
All it is. Number one, everybody gets out, record expunged. Secondly, I'm part of that Obama coalition. I come out of the black community in terms of my support. If you notice, I have more people supporting me in the black community that have announced for me because they know me. They know who I am. 3 former chairs of the Black Caucus. The only African-American woman that ever been elected to the United States Senate. A whole range of people.
No,
my point is...
that's not true. The other one is here.
Look at how confused he gets. This is a great moment. Now he's going to lie.
I said the first.
Now he's going to say, I said the first, when he said the only, right? This is a great moment, because no one said, they're not repeating back what he said. And he said, I misquoted myself. This is how senior moment he was. Because he says the only member, so he's going to say the only, which they're going to say Kamala is the second. Of course, Kamala is Jamaican and Indian, but that's whatever that is. But he's going to reverse what he said. He's going to lie like he just misquoted himself.
Out of the black community in terms of my support. If you notice, I have more people supporting me in the black community that have announced for me because they know me. They know who I am. 3 former chairs of the Black Caucus. The only African-American woman that ever been elected to the United States Senate. A whole range of people.
No,
my point is...
that's not true. The other one is here.
I said the first. I said the first African-American elected. The first African-American. So my point is...
So they can't believe that he's getting support. They couldn't believe it because, they thought that they would get more support because of the color of their skin and because this guy's senile, but they weren't. Kamala's laughing at him, and he's saying, I didn't say the Kamala cackle.
So my point is that one of the reasons I was picked to be vice president was because of my relationship, long-standing relationship with the black community.
So this is, this is something I thought about yesterday, and now it's come back around. Because here he is at the Congressional Black Caucus, right?
Joined by several other cabinet members. Tonight's awardee is Hakeem Jeffries, a leader with integrity and courage. Courage. And Karen Bass.
He's just saying her name over and over again. Like, so I guess they don't have a teleprompter.
Visionary mayor and does whatever she says she's going to do. And Karine Jean-Pierre, my press secretary. No wonder I'm doing okay.
Oh, you're not doing okay. 67% of the Democrats don't want you to run again. Like, you're not doing okay, bro. You're doing badly, right?
And Justin Jones, a new voice who gives us hope for the future, Justin. And two of the great artists of our time representing the groundbreaking legacy of hip-hop in America, LL Cool J.
LLJ Cool J. It's LLJ Cool J going to be there, but now he's going to drop the boy.
By the way, that man's got biceps bigger than my thighs. I think he's... And MC Light, both of you, thank you.
So they're having this guy announce MC Light, who I'm not sure who that is, and LL Cool J getting awards. Apparently LL Cool J, who he refers to as boy, has bigger biceps than JoJo has thighs. And, his thighs were involved with the black community before when he said black kids used to like to touch the hairs on his skin, his legs, when he was at the pool. Because JoJo freaks like that, right? He's, an out-and-out freak. What is going on here, right? Social Security trust funds are running dry. Here are 4 things to know. Social Security pays retirement income to the U.S., so we know that. To run out by 2033, so in 10 years, there's no more money there. They can't pay out after that time. And there's no money in it. Like, the money that you're putting in right now and your paycheck, any Social Security tax, is being, paid off to the boomers. At that time, retirees will still get a check, but it would be about 77% of promised benefits. It's not going to last. Speaking of old crusty things, Sharon Stone, 65, makes a fashion statement in giraffe print coat as she leaves a Beverly Hills restaurant with producer Michael Carbajal or something. Somebody sent me this like a week ago. Hard times for Sharon. Justice Alito temporarily pauses order restricting Biden administration's social media contacts. Now, this was there was a Senate hearing about this, and in Missouri and Louisiana brought suit to Joe Biden, having these brutally threatening contacts with social media giants. We were threatening to pull their ability to, not get sued, and for whatever's being put out there by content creators. And this has been well documented. All the pressure they put on social media, and the judge who wrote the judgment, he put in as many examples as he could. He wrote a long, dissertation of the crimes, these First Amendment violations that Joe Biden was doing. And they were saying the Democrats didn't deny this in the hearing. And JoJo Magoo's defense wasn't to deny any of this stuff was going on. It was that America was unsafe because of people posting conspiracy theories online. And so, it was okay because they were shouting fire in a crowded theater, so it was okay to censor them. It was okay to pressure social media, private companies for censorship. And so this is, he shouldn't be doing this. It's a First Amendment violation. And Judge Alito, who's a Republican, right? Everyone's talking about how it's a Republican-owned Supreme Court with 6 Republicans. And he paused an order restricting the Biden administration communications with social media companies after lower courts ruled officials engaged in censorship practices. So Alito's saying he can do that again right now during the time of the election, that they can pressure social media companies because of, Alito's ruling here. And it's clearly that's wrong. Like, it's really wrong. It's a First Amendment violation. And Alito's always been a piece of boop. Biden tells Zelensky that U.S. will send Ukrainian ATACM long-range missiles.
Aid going to Ukraine, something about missiles, right?
Yeah, Anna, good morning. You mentioned that $325 million security package that has already been reported on and that the president announced yesterday that includes air defense equipment, artillery rounds, and anti-tank weapons. But we're also just learning
Another $325 million military aid.
According to NBC News, citing 3 U.S. officials and a congressional official familiar with the discussions, that yesterday President Biden informed President Zelensky that the U.S. does plan to provide a small number of ATACMS, those long-range guided missiles that Ukraine had been asking for. Still, the officials caution that it's not clear exactly how many ATACMS
How many ATACMS are they giving him?
U.S. plans to provide, or exactly when they will be delivered, or even when it will be announced. But the officials did say that the president made it clear to Zelensky that will happen some point in the future. Now,
The future.
colleague Courtney Cuby has been speaking with officials at the Pentagon, and they say that there had been some concern about the stockpile of ATACMS here in the U.S. and also.
Okay, so they're sending ATACMS over the Ukraine long-range missiles. We're edging closer and closer to World War III, and they're just looting what's left of a dying economy here. Remember I told you the Federal Reserve has been absorbed by the U.S. Treasury. This is why this is happening. And all this happened in March of 2020. And it said when the lockdown started. Why is the Federal Reserve note no longer showing us U.S. debt clock? And now the U.S. Treasury note is showing in its place anyone. So it used to be the Federal Reserve note. Okay, so when you scroll over these things, it tells you what it is up here. So you scroll over this, it says interest on the debt includes U.S. Treasury notes and bonds. So I guess they're calling what used to be the Federal Reserve note a U.S. Treasury note. And I don't know if that says that on currency yet, but that's what they're referring to it as. So this used to say Federal Reserve note, and now it says money issued by the U.S. Treasury. And so it says here, in 1962, President Lincoln issued $450 million directed from the U.S. Treasury. On June 4th, 1963, President Kennedy signed executive order ensuing $4.3 billion directly from the U.S. Treasury, bypassing the Federal Reserve Bank. These debt-free, interest-free notes were then known as silver certificates. So there's these. This is here, but up here they've gotten rid of the idea of the Federal Reserve money. So again, I'm not sure what that means, but they're saying that the Federal Reserve has been absorbed by the U.S. Treasury. That was a privately owned bank, the Federal Reserve. It's not a government institution, and that's the whole big controversy. So maybe they don't want to be on the hook for what's going to happen in terms of the collapse. That would be the only reason for the Federal Reserve to be absorbed by a national governmental institution. You understand that a private bank would be on the hook for all this money, this value, when the dollar collapses and it's worthless, and they're going to be on the hook for the value, so they're turning it over to the U.S. Treasury. That would be my only guess here. Okay, so I was meant to cover this. Bob Menendez indictment highlights gold bars and wads of cash. But then there was this. Visas for lovers, private jets, and villas inside the bribery case Senator Bob Menendez beat. He's no stranger to corruption, but he has, got gold bars and stuff. There he is with his daughter. There he is holding hands with some dude. There are some of his gold bars that he had. There's some of his cash. There's him in, looks to be like a hooker or something, right? He had escorts and things, and Mercedes-Benz and all this stuff. So here it is here. This person, Lopes Liette, was a star in Big Brother in Brazil, but now lives in Florida. She told the Post in 2015 she had no idea Mendez had allegedly been involved in getting her a visa. He's just like, he's just helping out the needy. And so this is somebody else here. Ukrainian model, lived in Spain before coming to Florida, was one of the women that Senator Menendez allegedly helped obtain an immigration visa. So there seems to be a little bit of a pattern here, right? So that's Bob Menendez. And Coulter blasts gigantic bonus hole Trump after he calls her a has-been stone cold loser. So that's going on. Kamala Harris says she may have to take over as president. Please no. This was from a while ago. So a lot of these things I haven't been able to get to. This is like from a week or two ago.
The president's age often go hand in hand with questions about how you would step in the role, if necessary. Do you feel prepared for that possibility? And serving as vice president prepared you for that job?
Yes.
And how would you describe that process?
Well, first of all, I'm answering your hypothetical. But Joe Biden's going to be fine. So that is not going to come.
Like she's getting, her face is kind of morphing more and more into like a witch-like face. I mean, but look at the smile here. Joe Biden's going to be fine. Yeah.
That is not going to come to fruition. But let us also understand that every vice president understands that when they take the oath, that they must be very clear about the responsibility they may have.
Exactly. They got to know that they're only a cardiac arrest away, and that MNFer. I'm looking at I mean, in the next couple of years, you're looking at the next president of the United States. Biden world is worried about spoilers as third party threaten to boost Trump. Well, of course, you're going to see a third party candidate if they nominate this guy. I mean, it's already Kennedy and all these things. Hillary Clinton, Putin hates democracy and will interfere in the U.S. election again. So I've covered this so much in the past. The reason you lost Hillary is because people don't like you. I mean, there's some diehard Hillary fans because they like the idea of Hillary. But they don't like her and wouldn't like her in real life. Right? They don't like even the brand that you built, right? Because she's a politician that carefully built her brand. She married a guy who had charisma and became president. She was always hated upon, but she carefully crafted a brand and made a political name for herself with all her connections. And even that political brand and that person who was out there pretending to be a nice person and, whatever she was pretending to be, they didn't like. I mean, any of these politicians, when you put on a facade and you try to create a likable persona and you have publicists and you have professionals helping you, and in her case, the media was fawning all over her on the left and, all those things, and they don't like you, then there's something wrong. Like they don't even know the real you. They don't even like the fake you, right? You've got to understand how people see you. And I've documented this and talked about my own experience where, I'm unapproachable, and you can see by the number of people who end up staying here on my channel, it's a small fragment of the overall people who watch my videos. I'm never going to be a popular person. I'm more of a fringe person. And I'm not, someone who's had a high likability factor, and I'm not a person who values being liked, right? I mean, people who knew me, friends and whatever, but, I had my own issues too that made it difficult. In general, people sort of rooted for me despite my abrasiveness or whatever is there. But I know that about myself. I'm not, I wouldn't run for political office, not only because I wouldn't make a good politician or leader, but also because there isn't any part of me that's good or values being liked by a bunch of people. I never put any value into being famous or popular. And when you're like that, and, maybe people just misunderstand you, or you're a better person than people think, or you're just rough around the edges. In the Sajmark system, people with soft hearts usually have gruff personalities, so there's that. But regardless of that, you don't do something that popularity and likability is a part of it. And Hillary just lucked into a political career. She wouldn't have won one election without her husband, right? She wouldn't have, without her connections and being the wife of a successful politician. She didn't have it. And so blaming the Russians, right? And then there's this video I covered where this family, this kid was beating the TV with a hammer. And I got more comments to that than I've gotten to any subject I've been covering in recent past years. People are very opinionated. Lots of people thought it was definitely a fake. Other people wanted to punish the kid. Lots of people wanted to punish the kid. In fact, I just saw a comment where some mom said her 3-year-old said, "Is that kid going to get punished?" In a more graphic, detailed way. I don't know if it's a fake or not. Like, there are things that I thought made it a fake, but then I'm like, well, who knows? Like, the way parents are today. I mean, the biggest thing for people, to think it's a fake is it's obviously something that has viral potential, because just the reaction I got from, my audience here, and this would, get a reaction from most audiences. And it seemed like the parents were allowing this to happen because of it being a potential viral video. Like, that would be motivation. But also, parents are so weak now. And, I can't say. I mean, people said they were bad actors, but I don't know if they were acting. And, it could be either way. But either way, it's like a very telling about parents who are allowing their kid to beat on the TV so they could get viral views. So they're horrible parents that way, right? or it's true, it actually happened the way that they, it's an organic event, and they're horrible parents for allowing their kid to take a hammer and just beat on the TV. There was a moment where the woman says to the husband, "Why are you always leaving those hammers around?" And that to me was an indication it was real, but it also could be an indication it's fake. But, they don't have scripted lines, and that's exactly like the thing a helpless parent would say, right? Like, you can't control your kid. You don't leave your hammer around when you have 2 or 3-year-olds, because that's just dangerous. But that kid's like 8 or 9 years old, and you should be able to, trust that if you leave a hammer around, your kid isn't going to pick it up and start bashing the TV, right? And so, like, her saying that kind of, to me, was like, maybe this is real, right? But whatever. I want to get to this. I think I only have one comment I want to get to, and it's a flat earth comment. This person said this. This is to my Hollywood celebrities dropping like flies. Travis Kelce gets rolled. Johnny Depp. I have more with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift I'm going to cover on my other channel, because that's a follow-up to what I covered yesterday. Just an observation. You say the flat earth movement isn't catching on and isn't working. Couldn't you say the same thing about Sajmark system? The person spelled it Sadjmar. It's Sajmark, the natural path. And, these are two entirely different things, right? The flat earth, to me, is a psychological operation. But whether you believe it's that or not, or just some organic movement, what I was saying was that there are these things that go around the truth community, and then it plays itself out. Like, it becomes a brand or a label. And the brand of the flat earth thing is bad. It's bad because people don't buy into it. People don't believe it. So you have like lots of liberals and Democrats and science people that are immediately going to reject it. So you just have the right-wing people and truthers as your possible, your compatriots, or people who would be open to this idea of flat earth, right? That's your potential audience. It's about, 30 or 40% of the, whatever. I mean, there's lots of different people who flirt with conspiracy theories, but you have to be a person that's more religious oriented. You have to be somebody who's more into the Bible. And, it's about 30% of the people that are potentially flat earth believers, or at least sympathetic to your view. And, the truth community, the way the flat earthers became so argumentative and gang stalked and, troll bombed people, and, they migrated into the QB movement, you became an insulated and hated group of people by everyone else in the truth community. I mean, ask people who have had to deal with flat earthers or, who voice their opinion. I mean, it's constant. Anytime I say anything that indicates that I believe the earth is round or I don't believe in the flat earth, somebody will say it's flat. Like, for years, I banned so many people because of that, right? Their constant, obsession with wanting everyone to know what they thought about, like when it was inappropriate and had nothing to do with the content of the video I was making. And the QBs were even worse. And, the flat earthers were the creators of that way of dealing with people on the internet, and it failed. And then when they started to attack so-called conspiracy theorists, the politicians and the media, they used flat earth and QBs to bludgeon the rest of the truth community, and then use that to then in turn censor us and make it harder for us to post content. So the movement has no purpose, right? It's a belief. And, it became so divisive and so animated and so argumentative. It's just something that people associate with it being sucky. And flat earthers are, all bitter and butthurt all the time. And not all of them. So some of them watch my videos and just don't comment. That's fine. I'm talking about the people who are engaging in these behaviors. And there was a time where you would just let it go. Like, there are movements and things I know to be true. At least, partially true or mostly true. And I don't talk about anymore because it's over. It was branded. The pizza thing, there's some truth in the pizza thing before the QBs and the first timers, the newbies of, the coming to the truth community got hold of it and started bringing disinformation and disinfo and started to, just mess it up. And I don't talk about that. Those events that happened around schools, those school tragedy things, I used to cover that. And I was grateful to stop covering that for a variety of reasons because, it's hard not to look bad when you're, mocking families who have, just in terms of what most people believe, lost loved ones. Even if it's, perceived as fake by you and other people, some people believe it's real. So you look kind of like a complete a-hole when you're calling people out and calling them fake and things like this, and they're allegedly grieving, right? So I never really liked covering that. But the way those narratives played out, the way those narratives, that lawsuit with Alex Jones and all the other things, they're being used as weapons. And you realize you just lost the battle. This happens in politics where America, believes you to be a flip-flopper, like they did with John Kerry. They made him into a flip-flopper. And he did some flip-flopping, but all of them do. But they did a good job of painting him as a flip-flopper. They had the commercial where he was on one of those, those boards with a sailboards or whatever, surfboards with a sail on it. Windsurfing, is that what it's called? Windsurfers. And they had him going back and forth, if you ever seen the ad by Karl Rove. And it was a great ad, and it really screwed John Kerry as an elitist. He's married to the Heinz woman who owned the Heinz ketchup thing and all these things. And sometimes you lose the battle of the brand. People are going to believe something about you. And the more you talk about it, the more guilty you look, the more you look like you're just denying something that's true. And, whatever it might be. It's just, you're on the wrong side of public opinion. And if it's something to do with the truth community as a whole, you just let it go. You lost that battle. You lost it. You lost the flat earth thing. And then you went and became QBs and you lost that. And you never learn your lesson, right? If you're out there trying to proselytize and win people over to your movement, at some point you realize that ship has sailed, that most people have a negative connotation with flat earth. So that's what I was talking about. And Saj Marg has none of that because Saj Marg is barely known by anybody, right? Saj Marg has its own problem that it's experiential and it's something that lots of people can't feel the transmission. And so, only a small number of people are ever going to do it. So it's not the same thing. This person's equating like a real spiritual service that isn't trying to be political, that isn't trying to, paint your beliefs one way or another. You're not joining a club of flat earthers that believe in the earth being flat. you're receiving transmission and cleaning, a service that is given freely by the organization, right? And you could say, oh, well, it's a cult, whatever you want to believe, but that's just you missing out on the opportunity to get free transmission and cleaning, right? Like it's a service for people, that's available to anybody who wants to try it. And, those people who it's worked for, like myself, it's amazing. But not everybody has that experience. So it's not even, they're not, going to everybody's videos and talking how about, something that's, the equivalent to saying it's flat. I'm talking about the behaviors exhibited by the flat earthers and how they destroyed their own movement and made it into a negative brand, and they just never let it go. Like, it's time to just stop talking about it. You believe it, fine. Talk about it amongst your friends, but no longer is, every time you comment, every time you say something, it just brings up that feeling we all have towards you, the same feeling that we have towards cubies. And again, there'll be people who'll be like, all right, I'm going to comment on that, right? I got so many comments, and I'm not going to, this is the only comment I thought worthy of saying something about. It was on my other channel. But I said, and I shouldn't have opened the door to flat earthers commenting because it's a nightmare. And all these people say, I like your channel, but I actually believe in it. There's no reason to say that. Like, I don't care. I don't care what you believe in about most of these things. It's up to you. Your beliefs are your beliefs, right? You don't have to justify them or explain them to me. I just have an opinion about those beliefs, but it's not personal to you. Like, if you came up to me and said, I'm a flat earther, I wouldn't say all the things I say here on this channel. This channel's about me expressing my views on things that I don't do to people personally, because it's, you're right to believe what you believe, right? I'm not here to control your beliefs or any of these things. And people are saying this, but, what I said about it was, ask yourself if you have a model, a working model. And a few people responded to that, say, no, I believe in this, but I realize we don't have a model that makes sense. And most flat earthers, are they going to be honest? That was what they would say. So you could lighten up about it, right? When you don't have a model that works and you don't have the kind of proof that is, that would go with the kind of attitude that it's such a slam dunk. And this is more about the behavior than the belief, right? Just the overall behavior. There's reasons why people don't like flat earthers. So let me get back to the commenter here. Got to find it here. Just an observation. You say flat earth movement isn't catching on and it isn't working. No, people dislike flat earthers, or they use them on the left to mock the truth community. Couldn't you say that about your Saj Marg system? Literally everything you said about flat earth is applicable to your system times 10. Just pointing out the obvious. It's not obvious at all because they're not the same thing. Saj Marg is not something that was even talked about. We were, basically it was asked that we didn't talk about on social media. There was the official site. There's no advertising. It was word of mouth, and people would put up like little posters. Nobody, and it's a system that doesn't use force. And so there's no people forcing themselves on other people saying you got to do this, and there's no hard sell in Saj Marg. It's nothing like the flat earth movement, literally. The only way you've heard about it is because I talk about it, sometimes on my videos. I mean, there's lots of videos I don't talk about at all. Flat earthers talk about their thing almost like every video, right? It's a constant. And so, like, there's no obvious correlation here. Perhaps think the same thing when you say the things you say. What is a truther? Flat earth made me realize we aren't just nothing floating through space. Flat earth made me realize God is real. Only because you believe in the Bible, which the Bible sucks. The Bible isn't God. It made you believe the Bible was real. Because he said 4 corners in the Old Testament. It's really the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament. So you believe in the old Jewish Bible. We get it, right? Because you now believe in flat earth. When you didn't say anything about it having a working model. And so, this is everything I say about flat earthers and the rest of it, right? Like, it's just a comment waiting to be mocked, right? You're trying to, oh, look, you're being hypocritical. You don't understand my thing, so don't talk about it, right? Like, I understand your point of view. I understand the videos, the hours, the things that people said. I did my own research on this. You don't even know the name of Saj Marg. Most people can spell flat earth. Like what you said, I had to figure out what you were trying to say, right? Like, you spelled the thing. Let me look at it again here. You spelled the thing. It was one word. It's 2 words. There's no D in it. There's no J, right? You're missing a G. And so Sahaj, Sahaj, space Marg, Marg. Sahaj Marg. You said Saad Jamarg. Sahaj Jamar. That sounds like some dude's name. Sahaj Jamar with the reception. And so, like, this is, everything that we've come to expect from flat earthers. Someone mentioned vegans, which I talked about before. Like, I had this with vegans who attacked me because I showed an image of my kids bottle feeding cows. Our dairy cows that were loved, these calves and heifers that we had. My kids are out there when they were young. It's kind of a nice picture. And the person wrote, like, a book. Someone was on Facebook and wrote me 2 long messages. It was a number of vegans that were saying that I was so cruel for having dairy cows. And the cows were loved, and, cows are domesticated animals. There's no wild cows. And they just have a thing that they're all wild up of being vegans. They think they know more than all the people who drink milk around the world. And, all these village-based people, farmers, these vegans are so much better than them, right? And, vegans are, like, known for this. And it's the same kind of energy that they have. And they're assaultive, and, they get into your thing when they, I talked about how violent, this woman wrote this long thing, and I made a video about how she says she's a vegan, but she's violent in her speech, right? She's aggressive. One vegan said to me, I don't believe in violence myself, but I hope you, like, what I said in the video was that people should, at some point, kill animals that they're going to eat. Like, instead of outsourcing it to stores and whatever it is. If you're not willing to kill a fish or, something that you eat, and you're eating dead animals, there's a thing there. And I just, off the cuff remark. But this guy took it as like I wanted people to just go out and slaughter animals, which I wasn't saying. And then he left a comment saying he wished I was shot. But he wouldn't do it himself because he's a pacifist. But he just wished it upon me, right? And so there's groups of people who you have experience with, and those people, those vegans who are like that, and those flat earthers who are like that, wreck it for everybody else, right? And, you got to understand that. And those are the people that define your movement. In the Q movement, the QBs, and the flat earthers, and the vegans, and other movements, I don't talk about it unless I've experienced it. Like, I'm not a hateful person. I don't talk about hating people and, all these things. If I experience something that's negative, which, I do in these situations, and I talk about it, my experience of it, like how this affects me, how it makes me, how being around you makes me feel, like these things. When I say these things, it isn't I'm making it up, and I'm saying it as a group. I'm not even like, these common things are common things, but those are people who have gotten aggressive and stupid, and, they've engaged in some sort of adversarial conflict, so I have every right to. And again, I don't call them out by name. I just read the comment, right? But in general, I'm just talking generalities about a group, right? And I don't mean every flat earther, but I mean how flat earthers are experienced by other people. And all of us who are not flat earthers and are on the internet, on the truth community, have had bad experiences with you guys. Because people read the comments. People are like, yeah, that's exactly how it was. And QBs are even worse. And QBs were, a lot of the same types of people, Bible-beating, oftentimes, not educated or not, whatever they are, very conservative, Republican, right-wing people who are, they're the sort of the AOCs of the right, right? They're the way you hate extreme left people and their behaviors and their attitudes. It's a bummer for us to deal with, right? The Bible and the Christian religion aren't, to the rest of us, aren't an authority. The Bible isn't an authority to me. I like some things in the Bible, but it's not the word of God to me and other people. And so when you're engaging with other people with different belief systems and you're coming across like it's the word of God, and that's always going to be a problem. And so that's a lot of where the flat earth stuff comes from. And, again, if you want to have your own little separate little group and that's how you want to talk amongst yourselves, that's great. But when you're interacting with other people with different beliefs than yours and you're coming to their channels and, being all confrontational, coming on holier than thou, is the same way that liberals who think that all right-wing people are uneducated, hillbillies, and that Southern people are somehow dumber than Northern people, or city people are smarter than country people, and the condescending way that the left wing talks down to you, it's the same way you guys talk down, and the condescending way that you do, with the Bible being your authority, and it sucks. We don't dig it, right? We don't like it, and so that's what I refer to. You guys think you might be rocking it, but you're not, and you're wrong about it. Like again, there's going to be some debate about that within yourself. You're not going to agree with it, but that's how we see it, right? That you don't have a working model, and all of it. And so again, it's a total drag. If I don't say it, if it isn't, like I don't make something up, it's totally drag to deal with flat earthers and cubies and vegans, right? And not all of them, but the ones that are loud, the ones that are out there talking, are a drag to deal with. There's plenty of them that are great. There's plenty of great vegans. There's plenty, people who are good people, and that's just their belief, but they're not lording it over and forcing it on everybody else, right? It's trying to force it on other people and being argumentative. Just accept other people don't believe it, and we don't like it, and we don't like the group as a whole and the belief because of behaviors, by the way you behaved. If you had behaved differently, I wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't be saying this here. I wouldn't be talking about it that way. Is your behavior that has caused the reaction. Own the behavior of your group. Lots of flat earthers have said, yeah, I understand why you don't like them. Like, they don't like dealing with their fellow flat earthers for the same reason. It's your behavior. It's who you are as a person, and the belief is just a sort of a tool to expose your flawed, aggressive personality that is unlikable and difficult to deal with, right? And just it's just a real energy drain and a bummer, and it's hurt all of us in the truth community collectively. And so it's like you lost, whatever you were trying to win or gain, you lost. Just accept it, and it's just move on to something else, right? You can always believe what you believe, but stop trying to make it into something that it's never going to be. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Urbano, definitely pointing from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.